And we're live with Mr. Nemanja Jokanovic. As
So-
everybody, as myself knows him by Nick, when I first met him, how many years ago? About 6-7 years ago?
If not almost 10.
Yeah. And now you're with Octopart, right?
Yes.
It's almost 10 years. So yeah, some of the time is. Well, thank you for coming to Real Talk.
Thank
Thank
you for having me.
us. Thank you for being our guest. One of our actually Real Talk, I think, podcast number 5, and we're moving along.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly
We're
but
here,
surely.
here we are, right?
But I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're on because actually you are, no matter what, as I said, as I announced, you're the one, the youngest veterans in the industry, right? But you are a veteran and you've been in this for many years, and also you've been an influencer and you're connected, and you actually influenced me a lot, many years back. You came in working for different companies, worked for Penton Sourcebook. So I really love joining us. I wanted to bring you on because, as I said, I think you're full of knowledge. I think, yeah,
You'll
are
be the
full of
first
knowledge.
one to say so.
But moving forward, but I love your story. I mean, your story is, how you were introduced to the thing, and actually starting from, how did you come? I mean, as I said, you originated. Where's your origins from?
Yeah, it's. Do you want a short version or a long version?
Let's give the medium version. So your origins. Give us your true origins. Where?
So I was born and raised in Serbia, right?
Okay.
Former Yugoslavia. And I moved out pretty early, and everything, even up to today, I owe a lot to sports, right? And I'll touch upon that as we speak. Yeah. But I moved out when I was 15 to Budapest,
okay.
and so I lived in Budapest for 4 years playing professional water polo. Went to an amazing Serbian high school in Budapest, Nikola Tesla.
Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Oh,
so this is
things are coming full circle. Wow.
So I went to Tesla High School, and it's been a lot of fun playing professional sports at such early age. And background itself is pretty interesting. What water polo brought me over to the United States. Junior year of high school, Division I school. Over by my now stomping grounds, right? Yeah. Closer to Malibu, brought me over to train with them and said, hey, we want you, join us, scholarship. And here I am, right?
Wow. I mean, that from bringing you back, but that's fantastic as a kid, as I grew up in Serbia and then playing a sport, and then everybody coming to America, that coming to America story. And
sure.
So what age did you move here to America?
18.
Yeah,
packed up my bags. My parents gave me the fullest love and support. A couple of $1,000, right? And go get it. And that's exactly what I needed. I needed their motivation, their support. Sadly, right, the deal for the D1 school fell through. Okay. So I ended up going to Long Beach City College for 2 years. I guess learning English, right? Yes. So went through the ESL program and trying to be the best student that I could possibly be because I couldn't get the scholarship money since playing pro, right? And where that took me is my grades. I later managed to transfer to a school I love, Long Beach State, and studied economics.
Go Beach.
Go Beach. We're local.
Go Beach, yeah.
Sure. So, that's graduated with a degree in economics. I'm very thankful to some people that got me to the point of graduating because I just couldn't afford the full tuition at a time. And what the funny part of that was the department head of economics told me, it's like, look, if you keep up your grades, the econ department will sponsor you, but you have to do it every semester. We're going to sit in my office and we're going to go through your curriculum, your grades. And if you're above, whatever it was, 3.5, I think at the time, it's like, yeah, we're going to sponsor you. And I did it. I graduated in 3.5 years.
Wow. As I said, that story is phenomenal, and that true coming to America story. So as a course, did you have you had a visa, right?
Student visa.
Student visa. You graduated from Long Beach State.
Long Beach State, degree in econ.
Degree in econ. Oh, I didn't know. Wow, you're economist. Supply and demand.
Basic. Need parts, we have them.
So then so coming to America, so then also you had I think you have a family here that's like your second family, as you would say, you lived with, correct?
Correct, okay. Right. So I lived with the family here in Orange County, and they're still here. They're nowadays, right? They're godparents to my children.
Oh wow.
So
Phenomenal.
it's my second family. Love them to death. Maybe they will watch me one day. I'll
Yeah.
speak to you, but yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now full circle, how did you get into the electronics industry? How did you flow in? Where were you starting from?
Let's go back to the sports,
Okay.
right? So and reason I said that, right, the sports took me to the point where I'm at today is because I started a water polo club with my best friend here. I guess I joined him and in his endeavor as a coach, and we coached age group kids. And what happened, we met a lot of people. We had a lot of kids from Orange County who played for our club, took it to the next level, won multiple junior Olympics, and made it one of the most successful clubs in the nation.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And with that, we met a lot of parents. So one of the parents introduced me, whom you probably know, Christina Cavanaugh, right? Of Source Today. Her son played for our club.
Oh, wow.
And I was starting to look for a job, fresh out of college. So she brought me on board to work for Penton at the time, later Informa, nowadays Endeavor. And that's how it started.
Wow. So you came on as kind of like a new job, first job in the US, after sports, right? After sport, first actual desk job, as you would say.
Sure.
And you came in to a marketing, at that it still was a marketing company.
Yeah. Business intelligence,
intelligence marketing for the electronics industry. So that's why that's fascinating. So, well, that's where it all started from. But as I said, I know when we first met, you were still coaching water polo. So that's always been your passion. You've been a part of it, which is fantastic. As I said, that's how you got here. And as I said, it's as I said, these are types of things of how people can come to the States or how they come from another country, the immigrant, and your story is one of those, that success story. But at the end of the day, it was hard work. Just like you said, to keep your grades up, you have to, because you need sponsorships, you need to get through this, as I said, sponsorship grants to get through school, because everything costs money. You came with a backpack.
Yeah.
Did you have any other jobs before that, or were you just going to school? Were you just
I mean, my job was playing water polo, right? That paid some good money at a time, but it's different when you look at it. You look at an Eastern European standard, and then you're trying to move that same standard of living to, I don't even want to say United States. I want to say Orange County, in California.
It's called the little bubble that we live in.
It's been an adventure, right? All over the place. But long story short, just grind every day, learn,
put the hard work
people, and I'm grateful to people throughout the industry. The day I entered this field, people like yourself and people I work with today were with me from day one. And we're able to see the progress of my career from the early stages.
Yeah, that's one thing. I think you came in. One thing which is it's amazing. You come into this business or this industry or States with no bias at all. There's no bias. You have no bias about anything. No. You came in open-minded, and that's one thing I think we connected too. When you first came in and took over our account, we connected, and that's when you were with Penton in the beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
And so tell us the story of how that came through Penton. So how did it all start? What did you get into? And what did you learn in learning the basis of electronics distribution, electronics manufacturing industry?
Yeah, it's been interesting to me, because when I first started learning about Penton, right, or components industry, it's like, okay, what is this industry you serve, right? Yeah. Who are these accounts? And these people are selling things that I've never heard of, right? Like MLCC, capacitor, inductor, connector, connector here and there, but okay, right? I studied econ, for God's sake, right? So it's been a learning curve for me. The industry itself was very interesting, because majority of the people, and probably when you speak to them, don't know what we do, right? And as you speak to people all over, some of my customers say, how do you explain to people what you do on a daily basis? I was just telling them we sell nuts and bolts, right? or we sell everything that goes into your iPhone or your car.
Components, all the components, right? All the components that go into build any gadgets.
And that's pretty much how learning started. And then as I managed accounts all over the board, from niche distributors to catalog distributors. So I started learning, okay, what is, a certain commodity of a component, and that's how it was, right? Really learning one stage at a time, and then as I started talking to people and what they do, and especially smaller companies, is this is where they would come and say, explain to me. It's like, this is what this component can do. This is what it does. This is what it powers. And it's been quite a story.
Yeah, I mean, because you came in at in the middle of the digital revolution, correct? I mean, the
2010, 11.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, we started in early 2000s, but I think it started maturing more in the 2010, 20. I mean, we're 10 years in.
Yeah.
So a lot of things have changed, and it was just a basic, because I remember when you came in, you're still selling paperback, you're still in the book, position in the book, So that's what it was. Our industry was still at the source book, or the book itself.
Yeah, I was actually one of the last people who, and I take this with pride, I was actually one of the last people who sold the electronic source book, right? People were still placing ads. We were still shipping the book all over the place. And then during my tenure, the electronic book was transferred from print to digital.
Yeah, because I remember when you came, was like, well, we want the space online. We don't want the book. Everything was, who reads, as I said, who opens a catalog these days? Because the newer generation, the millennial and the X, whatever you come into, is that generation was more of of just digital. Everything was access digital, from a handheld, from a computer, everything, mostly computer, then smartphones. As I said, the smartphone craze that started at that point. So it was, as I said, you were in the infant, as much as you've been in this, you were at the beginning of the electronic industry transforming to mostly more of an online platform, more like e-commerce platform. Click here, buy now, where we are today finally. But back then it still wasn't like that.
It was, and I'm very fortunate to be at the very end of the I guess, call it end of print, right? If some people could argue and say, yeah, print still brings a lot of value. Yeah. But in our industry, when the source book was transferred to digital, it's, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that, and go all the way through nowadays, talking newest APIs or whatever it is. But it's been a lot of fun, and every day we learn something new.
So from being, as we would say, sale, everybody's in sales, and somehow we're all in sales.
Sure.
Being a salesperson selling a product or service, you have created a lot of relationships, right? You travel to create a lot of relationships, right?
Yes.
So overall, those relationships is, I think, maybe the core basis of what that's understood the knowledge that you've learned. People, you said, just like you said, you've learned about components. You learned that where you want to go, and the excitement, because every time I ever talk to you, you're always excited about the industry. So what is it that really excited you about this industry? And you've been in this industry for over 10 years now. What is it that really excites you?
I don't know if it's necessarily related to the industry itself. Okay. For me, the aspect I loved the most was meeting new people, right? Yeah. Really traveling across country, meeting new leaders of distributors and manufacturers. Was what motivates you? What kind of a person are you? Who are you? Who stands behind your brand?
The brand. Yeah.
It was more of a learning experience for me, and I think even today, and why I'm back where I'm at is because I want to continue that. I truly enjoyed it, and meeting people, talking to people, is something I really love, and that's why I'm even here today, right? Yeah. Because I haven't seen you in a while.
Yes, I haven't seen you in a while, and the things have changed. And but those relationships, because I can say, is whenever it's the energy you brought. And you're right, the leaders, right? You met a lot of people. You have a lot of network because you were just, but because in electronics industry in general, there's a lot of behind the scenes. People know the brand, or they know the name, or they know the company, but they don't really know the people behind it, because we are like as I said, we're the best hidden secret, as Jackie Maddox would say, we're best hidden secret. And it is because the leaders weren't so in front as leaders a lot of industries are today. But you got to meet a lot of them. You got to see a lot of them. And that's, I think, kept that excitement and the network that you have today and where we're going. And the marketing. So your road path went from, so your path started from Penton, then it's, a couple names bought out. And then from that point, you decided to leave Penton.
I did. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to go to learn even more about components and
Okay.
how components work.
Mm-hmm.
And before getting into that, I just want to say hi to Jackie.
Yeah.
And a funny story about Jackie is before Women in Electronics started,
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago or even
Yeah, 2017.
Three,
I know the history now.
3 years. I don't know if she mentioned that,
Yeah.
but I was, and if she's watching that, that's gonna be fun. We were flying back from EDS,
Okay.
and she was still working at a different company before.
She was at a rep company.
Yes, she was at a rep company. And we were sitting on the plane, flying home from EDS, and she was telling me about her vision. Just pure luck. We were sitting right next to each other on the plane. We started talking, and she told me, I have a vision. I feel like a lot of people in this industry can support what we stand for. There are not a lot of us women, and her vision really inspired me. So we talked about how she wanted to start. At the time, it was, she mentioned it was a program, right? And look where we are today. I think when last time I checked LinkedIn, there were almost like over 2,000 followers, and what they're doing.
She's
and
got about 500 members, and she's trying to build it to a couple few thousand and build the diversity and the empowerment. I mean, it's miraculous, and I love what she's doing. And it's a great story. So that's where it started. So on the plane, you met her.
We were flying home from EDS. We were and randomly we started, and it's like, oh, as always, right? Many people who fly from Vegas at the same time. It's like, we're at EDS. It's like, yeah, I was, right? And she said, yeah, I have this vision. I want to do this thing. And 6 months after our conversation on the plane, I see this little thing pop out on LinkedIn. It's like Women in Electronics. And now we have this amazing movement of women who are empowered, and it's amazing to watch it. And I really wish her the best of luck, and hope we're gonna chat again
Jackie,
soon.
you're watching, if you're listening, we're gonna get this clip and send it to you but that's these are the relationships, right? These are the stories that you remember on a plane, our trip on a plane. You don't really know each other, and you got to really get in depth of the vision and the spirit and and also the encouragement of going outside the box, because there, as we all know, our diversity isn't so large, as Jackie said, in our industry, and we are now trying to get the new generation coming in to build the diversity. And because we have successions happening this 5-10 years, and we need to build that diversity and bring it in and bring the excitement back. And as I said, you are the oldest veteran, but as being the younger generation, but the excitement's there, and that's what feeds off me. I feel you, as I said, your energy is contagious. How you love this business, I love it, and that's what this feeds to me too.
I feel like for me it was more love for people. I really love what people do, and everybody knows all of our brands in our industry, right? We, as we said, we are the biggest, smallest industry in the world, right? We influence economic turns. At the same time, we all know each other, and people who buy, who integrate, who create, develop, not necessarily know who we are. And you see today, Octopart, probably everybody heard of Octopart, but who are these amazing people behind Octopart and its vision, and why does everybody know Octopart, right? And that's what it's about. It's the people.
I think that's where you bring it to the point. It's let's introduce everybody to what is Octopart.
Octopart is the way I like to call it is the Google of electronic components, right? It's a search engine where everybody can come, search for electronic components, and find exactly what they want the way they want. It's pretty much our mission. Free, no cost to our users.
So what is the platform? What type of services does the platform deliver to the user?
In a sense, people can come to Octopart, search for a part, right? And we will display them with manufacturers and distributors and pricing and availability for the component they searched for.
As I say, put in the aspect of being a design, as an engineer, design engineer running. So how would, as it first, we have sourcing and buyers, and also engineering. So how does that basis for engineers work? How does that catalyst go for engineering?
It really goes a long way, right? we are owned by the largest PCB software company in the world called Altium,
Okay.
right? Which we power with our product availabilities and pricing.
Okay.
So when an engineer is designing a PC board, they can see what we carry, who carries what in stock at what price point. And this is where Octopart got into play and can help people find components easily at the best price available in the market.
I mean, there are, as you know, there's competitors out there. What are the core competencies of the platform?
One thing that always, and I've followed Octopart since its
Inception,
infancy,
yeah.
and one thing that I think always segregated Octopart from everybody else was the user experience.
Okay.
You can really come to the page and find what you wanted easily. Over time, you know, I recently joined the company because of its mission and most importantly because of the team who stands behind Octopart. Is, you know, an amazing API, an amazing catalog, a BOM tool, whatever that is. It really made Octopart stood apart from everybody else, and most importantly, that user experience is what I think segregates them from everybody else. Searchability, how people can search for products, type in whatever you like, Octopart is still going to return the same result.
Yeah, because I think that's a great explanation. Because I think you've actually been in distribution field. I think you had a couple of years, actually 3-4 years in distribution field to understand what the other side, not just the marketing side.
Exactly.
So I think that gave you a good grasp of the search engine capabilities and who, you know.
Exactly. You know, we touched upon Penten.
Yes.
And you know, before we started with Jackie, I wanted to go back into I went to the distribution side. I was a director of marketing for 2 distributors and really wanted to learn how it is and how does distribution work, learn the network, learn the channel, you know, learn the overall from manufacturing, lead times. How does the lead time impact? How does material impact, you know, delivery? And it's been fun. And then later, you know, in my career, I really wanted to go back to the digital internet side and apply the knowledge I can bring on from the distribution side and help those distributors market themselves better where I'm at today.
Correct. So moving forward with Octopart, since I've used the platform myself, and how has it evolved? I mean, since you're still new, but you've seen from the infancy and building up the platform the last, I mean, I think it's not, how many years old is Octopart now? How many?
Octopart is 2006.
Okay, so that's many years. There's a lot of data, a lot of information coming in. So coming to that point, how has it evolved? And today, as you use the system, the data, at the end of the day, data is key. The data analytics is key. Data it is. And so how does the platform work for as first of all, you have a user and then you have an advertisers, right? So how do those work? Can you explain me both those sides of it? User, as we say, search parts and find.
You search parts and find, right?
Okay.
And it's free. The way we function, the way we buy our bread is our distributor partners pay for clicks.
Okay.
So people can come list their product availabilities, inventory, or non-stock inventory in case they want to request for quote, and market their products to a little bit over 10 million engineers and procurement, users who come visit Octopart annually, and we pretty much help engineers and buyers find components from the proper sources, and that's the goal, right? Every click is sponsored, and you know, we try to navigate and steer traffic towards end users.
So as I said, Octopart is very, as I said, SEO friendly. You find it on Google, you put search engine. So that's when it's PPC, as we would say, right? The PPC is pay per click for it. But at the end of this day, I think there's a couple competitors out there that you have. Where do you think Octopart really plays in the escape the top 3 players?
You know, one thing that really comes to play is we launched our new API last week, right? And I can only speak so much to our API because I've been at the end result of it. The team has been tremendous. Engineering, product, all the knowledge that came into developing that API is unbelievable for me to watch as somebody who joined at the almost at a launch stage.
Mm-hmm.
But what our Octopart can do, our API can do, is can power a lot of good EMSs, a lot of OEMs, right, and really help companies globally understand how pricing, availabilities, lead times work, and integrate that API into
to their systems,
to
to
their
improve the
system,
supply
so they
chain,
can
pricing, bombs. I
improve.
mean,
Exactly.
yeah. So I mean, it just speeds up. At the end of the day, data is key, and it's how you query and take the data and use it, manipulate it to get to faster and faster and more calculated response.
Exactly.
Especially for EMS, OEM, anybody who's in manufacturing understands, like, you have a bomb that might have 100 to 1,000 items or a couple thousand. Yes. How fast can you go through it? You need more people. They want to turn that thing around in one day or 2 days. You need systems. These days it doesn't work. You need systems to run it through. So what you guys are doing now is you've built an API integration, correct me if I'm wrong, that can also tie into people's systems.
Yes.
So they can use the system. All the data that is in Octopart can be extracted, but run through for their bill of material, scrubbed, pricing, put in pricing for the parts, like doing a basic bill of material costing. Right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a BOM tool, correct?
And it's more than a BOM tool, and that's the beauty of it, right? There are multiple people who can fulfill BOM. Mm-hmm. And remember the days where we were quoting BOMs manually, but what Octopart can do is measure historical data and how that data is used with our new API. What are those components that are influenced or are about to influence the manufacturing process? It's a really powerful tool. It's a secure tool, and more so than pricing and availability, people can download data sheets. People can see product attributes, product specifications. What I think this new API is capable of is pretty amazing, because we can segregate it either way. Maybe you don't want to see pricing and availability if you're not an EMS or an OEM. Maybe you only need help with product attributes to power your website. We can do that. Okay. Right? And what makes Octopart API different is the fact that everything you see on our website, parametric search, we can give you that capability to integrate to your own website.
Well, that's fantastic. So do you guys amazing. Also coming as a buyer sourcing, going through end of life, do you guys have end of life cycles, or if you put it in
date code?
I mean, no, I'm saying because product cycle is a big thing now these days, right? Yes. So that more data for making decision of what component to use, multiple in the AVL, right? There's multiple items in the AVL, which part number is going end of life, which one is not, or there needs to be an alternative for it. So it can do all that. I mean, can it do all those type of services for the BOM management tool?
Yes, okay. Yes, it can. And the beauty of it is, again, right, you get to pick and choose. It's kind of like an a la carte, right? Yeah. What do you need our API to serve you for? And that's the beauty of it.
So you can customize it for the usage.
And it's always being innovated and developed. And the beauty of it is because how we develop product at Octopart is a bit different. We actually develop it based on, we listen to our people. We listen to our customers, right? And based on the feedback that we receive from both the user side and the advertiser side, we apply it and sit down with our engineering team, with our product team, and say, can we make it happen? And if we can, that's unbelievable. So that's how API was born. Right?
Awesome.
By listening to what people needs are, because ultimately that's what made Octopart. Octopart is serving the need of a greater electronic component community.
Awesome. No, it's amazing. That's exciting for where we're going now in this age. As we're now going into pandemic, the COVID.
Yes.
So how, as I said, let's turn this back a little bit. How is have you guys seen the data and stuff in the pandemic disrupted a little bit of supply chain and the searches? So everything's mostly. Have you guys seen an uptick because of that?
It's an interesting thing because we were looking at it a couple of months ago and saying we actually had a very good slide during our own internal conversation, and it was Octopart was actually measuring how performance in the world went. When Europe shut down, we saw the slowdown in Europe. US was performing really well, and you could literally see it on the graph. And then Europe so was slowly starting to open up. US was going into shutdown, so you could see that. So that was like, oh, March, April, right?
So you see its own curves.
You could see the curve, and
Yeah.
then end of May, we slowly started seeing that back steady, slow growth. But you could see as countries were shutting down, if you followed news, right, you could see that that's what Octopart traffic reflected in terms of clicks per country.
Oh, wow.
Which was very interesting to watch, because it's like, yeah, there's definitely an economic impact going on. Circling back to what we brought on, we're the smallest, biggest industry in the world, because we saw the economic impact go down as the result, on our own graph, as the result of COVID, and how every country was shutting down and opening up.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating, because what the data can tell you. The data tells the story. At the end of the day, the data can always tell the story of what's happening in the market and how it's really it's changing the market, how people work, how people sourcing is done. Of course, the political side of tariffs and things happening is not helping at all either.
Sure.
So for how is the business of Octopart through the COVID? Do you guys saw some downtrend, but now are you on an upswing, or how is the searching going? How's that?
Yeah, I mean, we are. I'm proud to say we're really happy currently of how traffic is performing. Right. Ultimately, is our traffic will perform as long as we deliver what people need.
Correct.
Right? And I know a lot of people are transferring digital. Everybody's working from home. Everybody's trying to understand the best way of sourcing components is, and this is where Octopart can help. Right? You can search anything from anywhere whenever you want. So we've seen a steady growth in traffic, with June being one of the best months we ever had.
Wow. Really? That's amazing. I mean, it's as the world is. I mean, we were going up and downs. The U.S. did open. Everywhere, China's open. Europe is opening more as the floodgates go. Because we did, in my opinion, the first March, April, we did have a shutdown, and there's a lot of backlog. In my opinion, a lot of backlog. So that's why I wanted to understand is, do you see any trends of shortages, or any trends or any type of trend that you see in the marketplace from the data that you guys collect? Do you see any abnormalities or anything surprising, something you can share with us?
It's interesting when it comes to the product categories. And I like to, when I talk to my partners on the distribution side, is we look at product categories for the past, let's say, 6 months. What is it? And you could really see the sensors and optoelectronics being highly demanded.
Okay.
March, April, May, and then slowly as people started figuring out that, yeah, we need to make respirators, we need to make ventilators. Right? It was that slowly started slowing down, and then we started seeing a uptick again in ICs and connectors. Particularly connectors. Being back one of the top categories again.
I mean, sensors, of course, because a lot of the sensors, I think, for the temperature sensing.
For medical,
temperature sensing. Everybody went thermometers, all the handhelds, digital. I mean, it's a big thing now, because temperature is everybody wants to get their temperature checked. Even though in our office we have a temperature rapid scanning to give your temperature. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is the safety of what we do, the protocol. But it is, I think there's a lot of abnormalities of the supply and demand that's changed because of COVID, what's needed. But I think it's just, in my opinion, is accelerated it put our foot on the accelerator for digitalization.
Yes.
In general. I can really generalize digitalizations, but everything's connected. Because I can feel it. We went to a lot of companies probably you've been with before. Some companies are very digital based. Some companies are not. And it's, how do we communicate, right? How do we do our Zoom calls? Do we have internal global intranets? Is cloud-based data computing, AI? That's one thing I wanted to discuss with you. Plus even some of the customers you're dealing with, some of your end customers, and what do you think that you see that the trends are happening with? What's booming right now? Do you think things have the talk that's up? Do you hear new talk about what's booming, what's being accelerated?
It's when it comes to technology and people going back to work, right? Yeah. It's a lot of back and forth. Is it safe? Right? Correct. Is it? How can we do business? Or the way we do business, is it ever going to be the same?
Correct.
Right? I used to travel. I used to see people. We used to brainstorm and strategize together how we can bring their product up to the market. Now we do that via Zoom, right? If you asked me 3 years ago what Zoom was, I was like, I don't know what that is. Right? Some startup. So now the Zoom is a daily. So everybody's adjusted to Zoom, And I feel like that's going to be a big part. A lot of people are going to go back to office potentially 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe some will switch to work 100% remote. But overall, the conversation is always of when are we going to go see each other again? Is it going to be possible? But in terms of technology, people are really trying to do their jobs and business as usual, right? Because nobody's even now adjusted to it, right? Yes, we have safety protocols, we have the entrance, we ship, but sales are at home, right? Working from home, so marketing is working from home, and this is how we're going to try to learn the new way.
Yeah, I mean, as you are as account manager, salesperson, sales executive, anybody sales person on the floor selling a product or service, at the end of the day, you were selling, I mean, kind of door to door. It was in person. It was doing presentations. It was showing information. Now everything is digitalized. So that demand for digitalization just thinks for, okay, there's going to be more cameras needed. There's more laptops or more types of tools, software tools, especially for not only, I think, Zoom, but Teams. Microsoft Teams is big now.
Yes.
It's very big. And it's a lot of the WebEx, all the things that are there, they're very big. And that transformation also demands more hardware. Right. So that's on the thing, to see that data that can tell us what's happening in transition. Because I think we've been accelerated. My opinion is probably 2 years than we were going to be. And in all industries, all people, the way they work, the way they think, the way they buy, the way they consume, because there is a lot of fear still out there of what we want to do and how we want to buy. But for our industry, we're the core of the hardware that goes into from all the way from space products, aerospace defense, all the way to consumables that we had, handheld products, cell phones.
Sure.
It's just going to increase the demand on that point of being, and it's mostly the hardware is there. It's just more software. Software's coming, but at the end of the day, the hardware is transitioning with faster processing, better cameras, better communication tools. These are all the things that are happening. Also, data computing, the data side of cloud management.
Yeah,
servers, data centers, and these type of things that really what I also see and what I've been noticed that the demand is increasing for big mainframe server centers, data farms, because at the state people don't want to store anything on premises anymore.
Put it on the cloud.
Put it in the cloud because it says redundant, AWS, Microsoft Azure, all the big guys. Plus, there's so many people in this field. So that really is changing the world of how we look at things. And that's why I want to understand for what do you envision in the next 2 to 5 years? What do you think that's going to happen? Of course, you have your job at Octopart. How do you think that this system's going to work? But what's your as I said, what's your vision? What's your future outlook?
I mean, what a time to go digital.
Yeah.
Right. And whoever predicted that, that this would happen, if you adjust the organization, maybe a year or 6 months before this whole thing started to go digital, it's amazing because you could actually adjust your company, not lose as much or keep up with the trend. I think it's just going to keep going digital. It has to be. For us at Octopart, we are really trying to help that digital movement, helping people find components online, and that's what has been a great thing for anybody who's been in the digital world, because nobody's nowadays sitting in the office picking up the phone and ordering parts. You go online, you search, whether regardless of who you prefer, you need to find parts, and you might do it from a place that you're not adjusted to. And that's where I think a lot of upswing we're going to see in the digital search world.
Yeah, there's that B2B, because the B2C, the Amazon style.
Of course.
And, I can say for myself, I was sitting in the ERA conference in February. There's a lot of people in there, and they had some breakout sessions about digitalization. And we're talking, a lot of that talk was like, oh yeah, you can't buy electronics digitally. You can't get all the information digitally, or you can't do this. There was a lot of pushback. Some people, my feeling, yes, it's going to go digital. There's API integration. It's going to be AI. There's stuff that can think for you. You can't really replace the engine. You can't replace the engineer, but you can replace the purchasing habits of how you purchase a product or acquire a product somehow, right? It would be digital, it would be through a video or through a Zoom call. And sometimes as AI grows, the parts might be chosen, and you just say, okay, the system says this is the best fit, best price, best delivery. It did it for us. the person doesn't even do it. All they do is, okay, press it and approve it and it purchases, right?
I even know companies, even nowadays, companies that just buy because through API.
Yeah.
Two systems are connected. There's an API signal,
Mhm.
right? And it says, this is the best price. This is the quantity we need. It's matched. Issue the PO.
Yeah.
It's all digital.
It's all digital. Yeah, and it's mind blowing to think that we used to send POs, a process, manual PO, write a data entry, that the systems are talking to each other already. They are, and it's just one person as a click here, buy now is the Amazon famous thing, but that's what it is. Okay, this makes sense. It's buy. We need the parts here. We have a build. We have something happening, whatever site we need it on, and it's gone through. Which, sometimes defeats the purpose of doing that impersonal, the phone call, everything goes out of the way. But at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, there is a reason for everything. In person or doing price negotiations is one thing. But some days when you need to do something quickly, you need a quick build, that convenience, that small price difference of 2 to 5%, that PPV as it would cost, is not a big deal for the company. It's like, you know what, it'll take us 3-4 more days. We'll just pay it now, pay a little 2 for 5% more, makes sense. Ship it to us. We don't have to worry about all this back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? It's
Yeah.
easy to, you and I are talking here
Yeah.
and saying, oh, it's easy now. We see the systems, talk to each other, and when one just issues the PO because of the API signal, yes, that's all. It's going on a daily basis.
That theory and the practicality is happening. Yeah.
It's happening. But the thing is, there's a lot of work behind scenes, right? Making that happen takes a lot of people, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of talking, a lot of Zoom calls, but eventually, as we get used to it, I feel it's just going to get easier because API is just going to continue to evolve, and I just wonder what the next thing is.
Yeah, right? I mean, even our industry is like we're doing now. We're doing a podcast informing people of what's going on in the world. Because as I said, we are the best hidden secret. To come back to that again, is because our faces, the leaders, the people aren't in front of it. So no one really knew who we were. It's just like you said, what do you do? What kind of company you work for? I sell components. What about our components? Electronics? You sell,
TVs?
TVs. See, it was very hard to define, and then you work a supply chain. You work for a marketing company that sells to distribution companies. At the end of the day, I always say, all the components that build any type of electronic gadgets on the PC board, that's what we distribute, design, supply chain solutions. And they kind of get it. But most of the people, I would say, majority don't really understand unless you understand components.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're talking to an engineer or rarely somebody in the supply chain world, it's like, oh yeah, what do you do? Well, I sell real estate. Yeah. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it is also to make it attractive and to acquire more talent, and that's why I love talking to you, is because you have your excitement for it. It's fun. The people, you said. One thing is the people. It's the people, and that's one thing. In my opinion, is we need to get more of these people in front of a camera and speaking to bring in the new talent into our industry, because our talent, we have as I said, a aging demographic that we need to replace them with new talent coming up. And how do we bring more and more awareness to the industry? And for myself, as we're doing this, the real talk is talking about the industry, talking about the positives and all the action, but also bringing in awareness. What's out there? How can I bring that engineer into the hardware instead of him going to the software side? Because software, in opinion, software is the sexy part, because software, all the Googles and the tech and all of that is the fun, right? But the fun is actually the raw building the device, putting it together, building a rocket, the SpaceX, sending the satellite to the moon. These kind of things. It's unbelievable.
When I was on the distribution side, I worked for an interconnect distributor, niche company, and the things we were seeing, the connectors we were designing into were amazing. I mean, we were designing things into a self flying autonomous flying vehicle up in San Jose, right? And just watching those things fly, or self-driving vacuums, or what,
everything is autonomous, self-driving.
And it's like, wow, like I'm seeing this connector being assembled now, and in 3 days that thing is going to go into a flying vehicle that powers itself and flies on its own. It's amazing. And this is the thing, and I feel like a lot of people who work in our industry are actually proud of that, and that awareness is something we need to advocate for, because yes, we are actually the people who put those components into the rocket or into the car or self-driving, next self-driving thing. And that's the beauty of this industry that people still don't get unless they were in it.
I agree with you. I think a lot of the people in the industry understand where they're selling to, where they're going to, the product they're making. But there's a lot of them that are just selling the component, don't understand where it's going or ask the questions. Because also in these days, there's a lot of secrecy because what are they making, right? But at the end of the day, EMS makes, I would say, 60 to 70% of all the products are made by EMS,
Sure.
and then the OEMs design and they make some of it on their ends. But it's making that sexiness coming about. What is that product? Autonomous vehicle. Hey, cars these days are using more electronics than any other thing in the world. The cell phones do, but cell phones are tiny. Imagine the cars. How many capacitors, resistors, connectors, the cable, how much cable is used in just vehicles these days compared to how it was, everything was manual, or saying everything was mechanical, right?
Sure.
Everything is not mechanical anymore. I mean, the Teslas have really proven that, the most simple, just say their Starlink, their Falcon 9, if you saw that go a couple months ago into the sky, you saw the cockpit, it looks like a Tesla. Did you ever look, if you ever looked at
3 screens, right?
the old rockets that fly to the moon, you see everything's mechanical. All the little signs, even planes these days that have so much different instrumentation is mechanical. But I think Tesla and a lot of other companies out there, or SpaceX, as you're saying, Tesla, SpaceX, and a lot of companies are showing that the digitalization is happening. The hardware is there. The reliability is there. The software is there to take to the next level, that everything is more smoother. It doesn't have to have so many moving parts. The less moving parts, the better it is to have less failures, right?
It's it's funny to me because speaking of that flight, my daughter she's 3 years old.
Yep.
And she comes to us and we watched it all together, and she comes to me, wow, can I be an astronaut?
That's
right. And all she sees is 2 guys sitting out there and looking at 3 screens.
Yeah.
That's all they had. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm just watching little brains think about it. She grabs a little toy and says, Daddy, I want to give this toy to the astronauts.
Yeah.
And they're going to space. And it's just fun to watch where the world is going.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I did this. I joined with my daughter as well. I have it. I did the same thing because I remember when I was a kid, actually, it was not the most, but I was in school as a Challenger, actually blew up in the sky. It was just back in the 80s. It did. And it was a big thing, but still space flight was a big thing for me. And sitting with my kids as well, I have 3 and a 4-year-old, similar to yourself.
Very similar, in the
really
same
stage. But it was amazing. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. Look at how it is. I share that time and say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be something. What does it take? I think that gives kids more hope.
Yeah.
I think we went through 20 years if we didn't really see that. And today the technology out there gives kids more hope to be somebody, engineer, build something, be innovative, be inventor. These type of things that give more hope to society that we're evolving.
Yes.
We're in another technology revolution, even though we're going through digitalization phase. Everything's digital, everything's cloud-based, but it's going to be that digital revolution. So, but thank you, Nemanja. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me again.
Really cool. I am so excited to talk to someone. Energy you have is contagious. You love this business. You love the industry. I love that. And that's what I said. Hopefully we can build this awareness, bring more talent, bring the industry to another level, and put the face with the names of all the people out there. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Thanks for coming along. And remember, be smart, be thoughtful, be generous. I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.